Hey, real quick, this is Josh from Bottomshelf Bitcoin. The episode you're about to listen to, I just want to apologize up front. The audio on my end somehow got garbled. I think it's still something you can listen to and figure out what I'm saying, but it's just not the most pleasant thing to listen to. But I think the quality of the interview was really good. The conversation itself, the content was really good. And the things that they're doing at Rise Wallet are really great. And so I couldn't scrap the interview, and scheduling makes it really difficult to reschedule these kinds of things. So I appreciate your patience in bearing with me through listening to my side, but enjoy anyways. With that said, you're listening to Bottomshelf Bitcoin. This is episode 47. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bottomshelf Bitcoin, the podcast that puts Bitcoin knowledge within everyone's reach. As always, I'm your host, Josh Humphrey, and today with me is Miljan from Rise Wallet. We're going to talk about his background and about Rise and their voucher system as well. Miljan, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me.
So I tried Rise out like a week or so ago, and it seems like a pretty smooth process. So how long, or you know what, let's back up. I said let's do your background first. So kind of what's your background and how did you get into Bitcoin?
Sure, sounds good. So I'm fairly new to Bitcoin. I got into Bitcoin in 2017. So for all intents and purposes, I'm the new guy here. My background is software. I've been a software entrepreneur for 20 years. My specialty is enterprise software. So I've been building products and building companies for about 20 years. My last company was acquired by Microsoft in 2015. At that point, I co-founded Microsoft's Dev Center in Toronto and led it for 2 years. And when I completed my Microsoft contract in 2017, by that time it was a fairly long grind for me, building multiple startups, getting acquired, and running like a fairly substantial operation at Microsoft. So I was quite tired, and I thought, hey, maybe this is it for me. Maybe I'll stop here and I'll retire, or at least take a very long sabbatical. And I decided to kind of move on to other things that are kind of not tech related at all. So I found myself with a bunch of free time on my hands in 2017. And you kind of, it's a pretty big switch from the lifestyle I had previously. You open your calendar, it's empty. So that looks good for a little while, but then you kind of your mind starts looking for kind of food. So I decided, let's take a closer look at Bitcoin and blockchain and all these other things I've been kind of just keeping sort of a casual eye on over the years. I never really had the time to properly dive in and really take a closer look and understand this technology and this phenomenon. So in early 2017, I decided to dive in, and I thought I'm just going to go in and learn everything there is to know about it. And I thought maybe a couple of weeks should do it, a couple of weeks of full-time attention. And that was 2 years ago, and I'm still having trouble keeping up with all the new stuff and still learning quite a bit. So in the process of digging deeper and trying to truly understand this phenomenon, my mind was blown in kind of on multiple occasions, and I realized at some point that something really profound is unfolding here, specifically around Bitcoin. So it's at that point that I kind of decided, okay, I can't really sit on the sidelines and just watch all of this unfold. I'm gonna see if there's a way I can help. So it took me a while to kind of figure out how I want to kind of step in and participate, but basically that's how I got into Bitcoin.
Very cool. So I guess so as far as Rise, what was what am I trying to say here? Which part of it came first for you, or at least desire wise, like the wallet itself or the voucher?
Right. By the way, we don't refer to our product as a voucher. It's a gift card, and I'll explain maybe the difference a little bit later. But
sure.
Yeah, so just like most Bitcoiners, I went through a similar process where you kind of, once you realize what Bitcoin is, you want to tell everybody, right? So I'm sure we went through all of that, and you want to help your friends and family kind of first understand this, and you want to help onboard them. And I realized that the process of onboarding new people to Bitcoin is quite terrible. And as I was helping people out and kind of getting into this, I was thinking that there needs to be an easier way to kind of onboard a brand new user to Bitcoin.
For sure.
Well, first of all, like well over 90% of people have never held Bitcoin, right? So I identified that as a potential target market, right? A vast majority of the people have never touched this. They're mostly curious about this, but never had the time to actually go through it. And then the remaining, 5% or so that are kind of that do have experience with this. Most of those users went through an exchange to get started, right? Like, so most people who are in this space started off by basically creating a bank account with the exchange, like submitting all of their personal information, going through the KYC process, and then maybe bought some coins at the exchange. And unfortunately, the majority of them end up leaving their coins at the exchange, never actually truly taking ownership of their funds. So I kind of looked at all of that, and I thought, okay, well, I'd like to create something that improves this situation. So the goal with the gift card was to use a familiar form factor that everybody knows how to use. Everybody knows how to buy a gift card, right? So you buy a gift card, and then in order to provide a great onboarding experience, we want to have a fully featured non-custodial Bitcoin wallet, which is connected with our system in a way that knows which gift card has been activated. So the user experience for the user would be to just like buy a gift card, download Rise Wallet app from the App Store, scan the code, and receive Bitcoin. So this UX is much simpler. Once you are holding the card, it's extremely simple to get set up. And it kind of teaches you how to get started with Bitcoin properly. And by that specifically, I mean by holding your own coins, because you get custody of the coins, and we walk you through the process of backing up your private key and stuff like that. And two, by preserving your privacy. So if you're only getting started, if you're only dealing with like $25 worth of Bitcoin or $100 worth of Bitcoin, you don't have to go through the full KYC process. So we thought that this approach is more in line with the Bitcoin ethos, and it would help new users understand basically the differences between Bitcoin and the traditional financial systems.
Yeah, that's really great because, like you said, my first experience was with Coinbase, and then I take that back. My first experience was downloading a wallet and then a friend sending me some. And then when I wanted more, I had to go through the whole KYC process with Coinbase. And then based on Coinbase's politics, then I changed and wanted to go with someone else. But then that was a hassle because then I had to do, KYC all over again. So yeah, this is a really great approach. And just for full transparency, I had reached out to you to do the interview, and just having kind of seen it and having talked with Matt Odell about it. But then, you sent me voucher again, gift card, and just so I could try it out all the way. And it's a really smooth process. So where is this available right now versus and then what's the timeline on, or what's your plan to get it into other markets?
Well, first of all, thanks very much for that comment. I really appreciate it. That's kind of the reason we created the product, to make things smooth, and it's very good to hear firsthand kind of feedback from the users and a confirmation that in fact it is a smooth way to get onboarded. So you asked about where the card is available right now. So we have a small set of locations in Toronto, where we kind of rolled out the pilot a couple months ago. By the way, we published the list of locations on our website at risewallet.com/locations. So at any given point, the users will know the locations where our product is available. We're looking to expand that to a few hundred locations in Canada and US by the end of the summer. That is the rough timeline. And then through partnerships with actual gift card distribution companies, we're looking to expand our reach quite a bit beyond that. The first gift card distribution company that we have an arrangement with is called Atlantic Prepaid. And just yesterday, actually, our product is available in their corporate incentives bulk catalog, where corporations buy gift cards for their employees, customers, whoever they want to incentivize in bulk. So this is the first time that our card is kind of listed in the same catalog as all the other gift cards. So pretty excited about that, and looking to expand the reach to many more retail locations in the coming months.
Awesome. So you had said earlier that there's what's the specific reason why you call it a gift card and not a voucher? Did you mention that already, or did I miss that?
Oh, yes. Okay. So this is an important point. While the kind of high-level approach would be similar between vouchers and gift cards, there are some important differences. First of all, our product is designed to work as a gift. The voucher systems that we've been able to observe kind of assume a certain level of familiarity with Bitcoin. They assume that you already have a wallet. They kind of, in my opinion, it would be difficult for a brand new user to get a voucher and kind of get signed up. They would need to do quite a bit of homework on their own in terms of researching wallets and things like that. Our product is designed for first-time users predominantly. So the entire UX of the product, starting with the card, the way we've designed the card and the way we communicate a number of messages on the card, as well as the wallet onboarding process that takes the user from scanning the code all the way up to backing up their key. This entire UX has been designed for first-time users in mind, so that you can literally, if you want to help somebody get onboarded to Bitcoin, you can literally hand over the gift card, and you will know they will be okay. That's the only thing that you need to do. That was our objective. And we've done quite a bit of user testing prior to launching the product, and we've done many iterations of the card itself, as well as the wallet application, before we were able to consistently get good results with new users in terms of their ability to get onboarded. And specifically, we were looking at the following things. Number one, when a user picks up the card, just by looking at the card, it needs to be obvious to them what this is, what it is that they're buying, and how it's going to work roughly. That's actually tougher than you might think. Many initial iterations of the card itself didn't quite hit the mark. Again, we're dealing with brand new users who haven't been exposed to this, who might have heard of Bitcoin, but don't know the specifics of how it works. So go ahead.
So what kind of, is it design elements, or what is it about it that caused you to go through multiple iterations?
It is design and content and how you structure the product overall. Our initial kind of naming and branding the approach was revolving around the word card. The product was called, in our initial kind of iterations, was called the Rise Card, actually. And some examples of people not really picking this up properly would be, okay, what's this card? So there's some Bitcoin on this card. Is that your Bitcoin, your specific Bitcoin that you're creating, as in a custom coin, which was terrifying to hear, of course. So it was when we decided to revolve the branding around the wallet itself. So everything is now branded. Our main brand is Rise Wallet. And the way we present it on the card, along with other messaging, became obvious that, I'm buying Bitcoin. And yes, there's this other thing that's a wallet that seems logical that I would need a wallet in order to hold Bitcoin. So it was after a few iterations of the card like that it just started clicking for people. So that was check number one that we wanted to check off in our user testing. They understand that they're buying Bitcoin, and they understand how to pay for it, and that they'll need to download Rise Wallet in order to redeem. Check number two is that everybody's able to actually redeem. And we were able to get there pretty quickly because the whole product revolves around that. Check number three is that everybody ends up backing up their private key after they redeem. And that took a few iterations because people start clicking around, they start doing other things, and you really want them to back up their key before doing other things. So we had a few iterations there.
I was going to say, if I could real quick, I was really impressed with that part, actually, because I didn't immediately back mine up. I was playing around, and every time I backed out to the main screen, it has this, I think it vibrates the phone, and then it has like a flashing red, like it's going to keep bugging you until you back it up.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of the feature we added as we were iterating through these user testing sessions, and we realized that too many people were not backing up their key. So it seems like we hit the right balance there, where we want to let you continue to use the wallet temporarily while the key is not backed up. There are some use cases where that's needed. but we do want to be in your face and kind of bother you until you actually, it should be obvious that you're not done setting up. So the final check that we wanted to ensure that people go through is understanding what the key is for, understanding what just happened, basically. And this is really tough. So to get all of these 4 points done in a way where there's zero touch. Basically, you're just the only thing you're doing is handing the card to a brand new user, and you expect them to understand what the card is, be able to redeem, back up their key, and understand why they need the key, and understand the fact that they are now sovereign basically by holding their key. So I must say that we're not at the 100th percentile basically with this last step. Probably about 10% of people go through this whole thing and end up there backing up their key and don't quite understand what the key was for. So we still have work to do, but we thought the product is kind of smooth enough and effective enough to launch version 1.0, and from here we'll keep iterating.
So how do you test those things? You're saying about 10%. Do you just pull people off the street into a room and hand it to them and say, have at it, and then ask questions at the end, or what do you do?
So we do rounds of user testing, and every user testing session is fairly controlled. So we have our spreadsheet of kind of things that we're measuring. The process is such that we don't provide any upfront information about this, and the user sits at the table, and we kind of describe that we present them with a card, and we say, pretend you're at the store and you just picked up this card, and then give us your feedback, kind of stream of consciousness style. And we just sit there and listen and take notes, and we try to understand where people are getting confused, or where they're not, where our message is not clear enough. So then we say, okay, when that part of the session is over, let's now pretend that you bought the card and you made it home, and now you're trying to redeem it and get set up. And again, we basically sit quietly while the user kind of goes through the flow, and we take notes. And then when it's all done, we ask a series of questions. And that's basically it. And then for each user, I forgot to mention, for each user, we take kind of the level of proficiency in terms of overall tech, as well as prior exposure to Bitcoin or crypto and things like that, so that we know how things compare.
Gotcha. Let's see, what was I going to ask?
This was all a long-winded answer to your question of how is this different from a voucher. So again, the first difference is this is a gift card that's designed to onboard new users, not just the gift card, but the entire product. The second major difference is that the product is designed to plug into existing gift card distribution networks, which are quite formidable. Throughout this kind of, as I got deeper into this, I only realized then how extensive these gift card distribution networks are. And the whole gift card industry is growing quite rapidly, so they're becoming more prevalent. There are more and more retail locations that offer gift card racks, and our product is designed to perfectly fit within those networks logistically, so that if we're able to close the right deal with the right distributor, we should be able to scale fairly quickly. to many thousands of locations. So it's basically those two main characteristics that make our product different from just vouchers.
Well, that's very exciting because I feel like as someone in the U.S., I look around and I see these other things popping up in other places, and I'm envious, I guess, or whatever. Like I want those here, and we haven't been able to because it seems like the regulatory hurdles are too difficult, at least to be an initial market. So, but you're thinking by leveraging these gift card distributors, you can get into the U.S. market fairly quickly.
So our first foray into the U.S. market would be through an actual retail chain that we do a direct deal with, not through a gift card distributor. And in the long run, obviously, we would our goal is to go through distributors. As far as regulatory constraints, it really doesn't matter whether you're going through a distributor or going directly. There are some laws that you need to be compliant with. And we're quite satisfied that our overall approach ensures that we indeed would be compliant with the relevant laws. We can dig deeper into that if you're interested.
Sure. Yeah, let's go into that.
So, again, we're offering a KYC-less product for letting people getting onboarded to Bitcoin. And we wanted to make sure that we do that in a legally compliant way so that we don't get immediately shut down after launch. In Canada, we're working with a top 5 law firm on this product, and we're working with their crypto specialists and gift card law specialists. There is such a thing, if you can believe that. And we also have a U.S. law firm that also specializes in crypto and prepaid products. So we feel that we have quite extensive legal advice on this product. I don't need to get into all of the details, but just kind of I'll maybe talk about it at the high level.
Sure.
We wanted to be legally compliant. We wanted to make sure that the foundation of our product is such that we, number one, are fair and transparent to our users. So we're fundamentally offering a product which is fair. And number two, that our product is useless for money laundering or any other kind of criminal activity. So that's the foundation that we build up our kind of legal thesis on. Maybe I'll talk about this second part about the product being useless for money laundering. Since we control the entire the entire redemption cycle, so we control the entire product stack from actually printing the cards and generating all the codes on them, to the wallet application itself, which must be used to initiate the redemption. We don't impose our wallet on the people if they don't want to use our wallet, as you know. But the redemption itself must be initiated through Rise Wallet for regulatory reasons. And then we have our own redemption server and backend connectivity to exchanges. So we are in full control over the entire redemption cycle, which allows us to enforce certain daily maximums. And currently, the daily redemption maximum is $250 per user. And we're able to quite successfully enforce those maximums, and the amounts are such that keep us well below the thresholds which would typically be considered problematic for money laundering applications. And we implement a number of safeguards in the system to ensure that this is in fact the case. And this is an interesting situation because we predominantly do implement these quite extensive safeguards within the entire system in order to protect ourselves from fraud. And it just so happens that our own interests are aligned with those of regulators in this particular instance, because we're trying to prevent exactly the same thing that they're trying to prevent. So we're quite confident that we created a product which makes it very easy for regular people to buy small amounts of Bitcoin in private and get onboarded to Bitcoin in the right way, while at the same time being completely useless for money laundering and other criminal activities.
And you say that because the amounts are low enough that's not something someone's going to be using to do money laundering, etc. with.
Exactly. It's like so impractical, basically impossible to do any meaningful amounts that would be needed for money laundering, that the product is completely useless for that.
Okay, when you said that your personal interests or your company's interests align with the regulators and you were saying that you initially were doing these to avoid being defrauded. Can you go into that? Like, how does that help you, I guess?
Sure. So again, the model of the product is to have the card available in many thousands of retail locations worldwide. When we distribute the card, it is not loaded. So, which, by the way, is also in line with how other gift cards work. So let's say if you're at the store and there's an Xbox gift card there, or a stack of Xbox cards, you can kind of steal that stack of cards and run out of the store, but they're not loaded. It's just paper. It's right. The same with our card. So the situation that we need to protect ourselves against is one where a rogue employee, let's say, decides it's time to go with a stack of cards and the activation device. So we want to make sure that we protect ourselves from those occasions where the maximum amount of money that we can lose in such an occasion is quite low before the system kicks in and basically cuts that activation device off, as well as all of the cards that have been activated using that activation device. So again, it's dealing with daily threshold maximums, and both for redemption as well as activation, that allow us to have a system that's where we are fairly well protected against fraud, where our losses in case of fraud are minimized. And it's exactly those same systems that enable us to stay legally compliant.
Very cool. So, like on a user redemption end, how is that enforced? Because I know that within the app, you can have multiple wallets, right?
It's enforced on a per device and a per user profile basis. So okay. You have to have multiple devices with multiple user profiles in order to redeem more than $250 per day. You can buy more than $250 per day. There are some kind of activation maximums as well. And we do have occasions where people buy multiple $250 cards. However, they have to be redeemed over multiple days, and the app does a pretty good job communicating that to the customers. So we haven't had any pushback on that front.
Gotcha. So where, I mean, and I understand that there might be some security implications here. So if this is something you can't answer, that's fine. But where are you guys getting the Bitcoin from, or what is that process like in order to ensure that you have a sufficient amount, especially, and do you have a plan in place, I guess, when you're talking about scaling up sending these cards or having these cards available in lots of countries? Do you have a plan to scale up to have enough Bitcoin available for customers to redeem?
Right. So I can get into it a little bit. So we do acquire Bitcoin in real time when the card is redeemed. So maybe that's one aspect of the product that I didn't cover yet, where the card holds the face value indefinitely. So if let's say you buy $100 card, you pay $100 plus the activation fee, and then regardless of Bitcoin price fluctuations, the card will always be able to be redeemable for exactly $100. So let's say you buy the card today, you hold it for a couple of weeks and give it to someone as a gift, and let's say Bitcoin tanks 50% during those 2 weeks. The recipient will still be able to redeem exactly $100, so they will get $100.00 spot price on Bitstamp, which, by the way, is our main exchange. We integrate multiple exchanges on the back end, but Bitstamp is the main one. The reason we were able to do that and not be exposed to Bitcoin price volatility is that we basically market buy at the time of redemption. So when the user redeems, we are running our own hot wallet with some float liquidity to make redemptions quick. So we send the user our own Bitcoin, exactly $100 worth of Bitcoin, and then we market buy exactly at that time to replenish our own hot wallet. So to answer your original question, yes, absolutely, we have everything in place to scale this to many thousands of locations, both in terms of the actual technology and our kind of server setup, and the ability to physically support that many users, as well as the required liquidity to do so as well. Cool.
So, and this was something on the wallet side that I appreciated, is that one, it's non-custodial, right? We kind of talked about that a little bit. You force the user to, it's not a hard fast force, but you keep bugging them, like we said, to back up their wallet. It's not something that you have access to, and it can send to SegWit native address, Bec32 addresses, which is nice. I've noticed some other large wallet providers don't have that capability yet, which is, hopefully they'll get there. But it's nice that yours already has that built in. And then you also have this ability to, you kind of alluded to it earlier, to redeem into other wallets. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm really glad to have people notice these things, and thank you for those comments. And I think when you discovered us, you tweeted about you actually had gone through our terms of service.
I did.
In detail, which not everybody does. So I really appreciate that. And you pointed out parts of our terms of service which are kind of noticeably fair to the customer. Which obviously, as I mentioned before, is our intention, but it's very nice when people kind of do the work to dig deeper and see how this is set up, and then it's nice to get recognized for it. So thanks for that. So yeah, in the whole spirit of being fair to our users, of course, we don't want to impose our wallet on people who might not want to use it. Especially it's a version 1.0 wallet. So we still have, quite a few things we'd like to do to improve it. And we feel that people should use our wallet because they want to, not because they have to. So during the redemption process, which I'll repeat, has to be initiated through our wallet for legal reasons, So basically, this is how it works. You get the card, you download the wallet. One of the three options on the main screen is redeem Bitcoin. You press that, which gives you the ability to scan the code on the card, at which point we provide full real-time price quote for the face value of the card. So let's say if it was a $100 card, we'll give you a real-time quote of exactly how much you're going to receive, and we use Bitstamp for that predominantly. So at that point, you have the price quote, and you can either say, okay, redeem, in which case the funds will be sent to your Rise Wallet instance, or you can select details and options instead of redeeming immediately, which takes you to another screen, which gives you the ability to paste or scan the address of a third-party wallet where the coins will be delivered directly. So in that case, the funds never even hit our wallet. So you don't need to pay the mining fee to transfer from our wallet to a different wallet you might be using. By the way, we pay the mining fee to deliver the initial funds. So you will actually receive exactly $100 worth of Bitcoin either in your Rise wallet or another wallet that you're using.
Very nice. Yeah, and so I tried both of those. It was a pretty simple process on both of those. My one, I wouldn't even say it's really that much of a negative, just because a lot of people do it this way. But the mining fee, if you want to transfer out of the wallet, like if you want to send to somebody else, or another one of your wallets or whatever, is kind of the, I'm trying to think how you worded it. It's like economy. Let me see. Hang on.
Yeah, it's kind of generic terms.
Yeah, you have set points, I guess, is my thing, instead of being fully customizable. And I know that's not 100% necessary, but it's a personal preference for me. I like to be able to fully customize my fee, because I'm cheap, so I like to send things at like 1 or 3 sats per byte. But
I agree completely, and it's not necessarily even about being cheap. It's about not overpaying for transactions and not bumping other people's transactions fees by overpaying for your transactions, which I think happens a lot with wallets out there. So the current implementation that we have tries to estimate the most kind of optimal fee for each of the tiers, kind of. I forgot now what terms we use, but let's say, priority, normal, or economy, let's say something like that. So those are not hard set. They're kind of dynamically derived based on the state, the mempool, and some other factors. And I think there's room for improvement there, definitely. But it totally makes sense to offer a custom option there, where the user can say how many Satoshis per byte they want to pay. We would like to roll that feature out at the same time we roll out, child pays for parent or replaced by fee or something like that, where if you kind of box yourself into a corner, which the wallet will allow you to do, let's say you do 1 Satoshi per byte, and let's say the mempool remains continuously busy for many days, there should be a way for the user to bump the priority of that transaction so it gets settled kind of within the wallet. So I totally agree that this is a useful feature, and I'd like to roll it out in tandem with the ability to bump the priority.
okay, that makes sense. No, you're right, and and especially if you're also trying to always think of new users, and not not letting them get boxed into a corner. That makes sense. Okay.
Every product decision we make, we first take into account the brand new user and then everyone else.
Very cool. Let's see. Did I have other questions? I think we've gone over most of it. Oh, I did have a question. This is just maybe this is just me missing it. When you go into the settings of a wallet and you can or maybe it's the generic settings of the whole app. Let's see. Yeah, and you can set currency display, right? There's that middle one that says sats, microbits, millibits, Bitcoin. Once you do that, what determines how much shows? Is it just how much Bitcoin is there? Does that make sense?
Yes.
What I'm saying, like whether you see Bitcoin or sats or millibits or whatever.
Yes, that's another feature which is maybe implemented a bit differently from most wallets out there, and we're still considering if that was the right approach. But essentially, we wanted to display amounts that are mentally digestible by users who are not used to working with fractions that are so common in Bitcoin. So instead of showing 0.000 something BTC, we thought that saying 1.36 MBTC is something that, at least when it comes to the amount itself, that it's more digestible to a brand new user. So 136 is something that they've seen before. It feels like an amount. Sure, that we then need to explain what MBTC is. That these are millibitcoins. So that's the kind of the drawback. And I think we need to continue to add educational content into the wallet. We have quite a kind of long list of things we want to add. But this is another example where we're trying to keep this friendly to new users.
Yeah. I personally have most of my other wallets display in sats. So I think especially as the Lightning Network expands. So that's why when I used it, I was surprised because I clicked that and I was expecting sats and I got millibits or microbits. I don't remember which one, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the right approach would be to have several modes that you can kind of just switch through by just tapping on the total. So you would switch through and displaying things in sats makes perfect sense. That should be one of the modes that we have for sure. So maybe between what we have, sats, and just straight up BTC with fractions is offer all of those three and let the users switch through.
Yeah, I think that would be good. This was the other thing I was going to ask about. I'm looking through the settings here because I knew there was something else. The merchant options. I see that that's a thing here. But I'm not a merchant, so I can only make it one more option deep in here where it's asking for a merchant code. What you want to talk about merchant options, and is that a current thing or is that more for the future?
Well, it is a current thing. So currently, some merchants activate the cards using our wallet. So you don't need any special machinery or any special systems. You simply as a merchant, you download Rise Wallet, and we set you up with a merchant ID, which is a 16-digit code, basically. And once you enter that in the merchant screen, you have the ability to activate cards. So we typically, when we set up a new merchant, we give them a key, we give them a stack of cards, and then they can easily activate the card by scanning the barcode on it, the activation code. And that whole merchant section of the app then opens up, and there are a number of things there that, built-in reporting for merchants, things like that. And people who are not merchants, they they can't go very far with that branch of the app. Hopefully it's not too confusing.
No, that's fine. I wasn't sure if that meant a merchant selling Rise gift cards, or if that was, some other wallet providers and exchanges and things have what they call merchant accounts, where let's say I'm selling something and I want to use them as the what's the word I'm looking for? The payment.
Bitcoin POS kind of thing.
Say again?
Like a Bitcoin point of sale system.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know which one of those it was, but that makes sense that you've got one app to handle both the end customer that's redeeming the cards as well as the merchants that are selling the cards. So that's very cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, anything else that you want to highlight that I missed?
No, I think we went through just about the entire product. It's a fairly simple product at this point, so it wasn't too hard. And hopefully, we'll have some news in the coming weeks and months regarding wider availability of the product in terms of retail. So people who are interested in that should stay tuned to our Twitter feed, just at Rise Wallet. And hopefully we'll sign up more users and put more Bitcoin into the hands of the people.
Yeah, that's. I'm really excited about that. I will definitely be watching and blasting out as soon as I see them showing up anywhere near me. So anyway, Miljan, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun and very informative.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so that was my interview with Miljan. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I am really excited about Rise and just being able to buy over the counter with cash. And so here's hoping that comes quickly to the US and to other places. The more I think about it, there are some other cool applications, I guess you would say. So what is neat to me is to think about how, since you can redeem to any wallet, you could basically use this to fund your Lightning nodes directly. And so that's pretty cool. There's some other things as well, but y'all go check out Rise Wallet. Follow them on Twitter at Rise Wallet, and then you can see their site, risewallet.com. Obviously, they're in both the Google and iOS app stores. And what else? I think that's about it for them. I'll include my Twitter thread in the show notes from when I kind of looked over their terms of service. I encourage you to go to their website, risewallet.com, and you scroll down to the bottom and there's a link there to the terms as well, and look through that. It seems like they're really going for, Bitcoin. I guess I didn't ask him. I should have asked him specifically, but I kind of get the feeling that there are no plans for other altcoins, just from the conversations that we've had and stuff. So guess that's really kind of it as far as the show. You guys know you can support the show at bottomshelfbitcoin.com/donate, or you can obviously subscribe so you don't miss any episodes and share it with your friends. The other cool thing is to go to lncast.com, and that lets you pay for episodes of podcasts over Lightning. So it's a small fee. I think it's like something like 7 or 8 cents or something like that per episode. So that's very cool. And that's actually going to be my next interview, hopefully, if we can get the scheduling done, is with LNcast. So you guys can hear more about LNcast, but it's a cool thing. So anyways, all right, that's going to be it for this episode. From Bottom Shelf Bitcoin, I'm Josh Humphrey. Thanks for listening.